Okay, everyone, let's start the workshop. I see we have more than 50 people with us today. That's a great start. I think more will come. I will keep adding people throughout my presentation if we have more late joiners. Welcome to today's workshop, which is part of 2 days session. Tomorrow we will have a big conference. If you haven't registered already, you can already go to the website of safefoodadvocacy.eu and check out our PermaModule conference that will happen tomorrow between 2 and 4:30 in the afternoon, Brussels time. Today is a workshop for students and from permaculture practitioners. It's similar to workshops that we organized in May 2021. All recordings of the previous workshops are available on SAFE's YouTube channel, Safe Food Advocacy Europe. Today, we will hear from professionals from the Romanian Institute of Permaculture Research, Ionut Badica and Alex Tudos. And after a short break at 1:30, we will hear from Paolo Rosazza-Pen from the Italian Academy of Permaculture, and both will introduce themselves and their topics in a short while. But first, before we start this workshop, since we're many in this room and we all have access to the chat, we would like to hear a little bit from you. These will be interactive sessions, so we will ask you to participate to our sessions. That's why it's called a workshop and not a conference. Let's do a first a little ice-breaking exercise. I would kindly ask you to all show your face for a second. If you feel uncomfortable about using your camera, that's fine. You can leave it shut for the rest of the workshop afterwards. But it's good to see that we actually have people in front of us when we're talking. And I would also kindly ask you to write the country you're from in the chat, so we know who is listening to us. So you all have access to the Zoom chat, please. And for the sake of keeping it clear for everybody, I would remind you some basic Zoom rules. Please keep your mic shut unless you're asked to speak. That way we can all hear the presentation properly. So, what do we have in the chat? People from Romania, lots of people from Romania and Belgium, Italy, people from Catania, students, I reckon, see lots of familiar names. Wonderland, Paolo Rosazza is from Wonderland, perfect. People from Malta, Germany, great. We have a lot of very diverse nationalities there. Very good to have you all. And there is a second exercise, as you can see on the screen. I would kindly ask you to go to menti.com and use the code that you can see, so 42 10 69 10. And you will have to answer a very simple question, which is, what do you expect to learn today as a learning outcome of this workshop? Please let us know and we'll assess your results by the end of this presentation. So you're all very familiar with the Zoom routine now. You can multitask and do that while you're listening to the presentation. So I leave you, check menti.com and use the code 42 10 69 10, which will also be written in the chat for your convenience. A little word about SAFE. Safe Food Advocacy Europe is an independent organization based in Brussels, whose aim is to strive to protect and advance consumers' rights in EU food policy. And to that aim, we have two main priorities: strengthening EU consumers' voice in the food sector and raise public awareness through campaigns, through projects, and through advocacy. We represent more than 30 associations in 15 countries. Actually, this slide is not updated. Our members are national consumer organizations, vegan and vegetarian associations, health organizations, obesity associations, universities, such as some of our participants today from Catania and from Liège and University of Bucharest. And we also have permaculture associations as our members, such as the ICPR and the Academy of Italian Permaculture. SAFE works for consumers doing advocacy to improve the EU legislative framework in the food and agriculture sector, and conducts awareness-raising events and workshops for consumers and decision makers. A word about the current project. As you know, this workshop is part of the PermaModule project. The PermaModule project is an Erasmus Plus project that has started in September 2019 and is involving a consortium of 7 partners from 4 different countries: Italy, Malta, Romania, and Belgium. You can see 4 universities in Catania, Bucharest, Liège, and Malta, and 2 permaculture organizations, the ones that you will listen to today. Our project aims to develop an undergraduate module in permaculture and focuses on the collaboration between the higher education, meaning universities, research, and professionals, people actually practicing permaculture on a daily basis. To the same, we provide students with biodiversity knowledge and a few intellectual outputs. The first of which is a teacher's course book of more than 450 pages in 3 distinct parts, focusing on teaching methodologies and a wide number of technical and less technical topics. This module is accessible in English, Italian, French, and Romanian, and perhaps soon to be translated in other languages, as we are contacting new universities to join the extended consortium. Our second intellectual output is a student's interactive handbook, which is composed of 6 volumes, mostly making links with the first output. As you can see, it's taking the form of a PDF that is very easily navigable, and you can download it on the third output, which is the PermaModule.
You're muted, Antoine.
Oh, I'm muted.
Well,
did you hear my?
We missed 30 seconds only.
Okay, so sorry about this. I think somebody else is using the same account as myself at the moment. So the second output is the student's interactive handbook, composed of 6 volumes. It's an interactive PDF that you can download by visiting our platform, permamodule.moodlecloud.com. This platform is available to anyone, and all our outputs, first, second, are also freely accessible there. That's it from my side. We will now check the results of the Menti poll that you just made. My colleague Alejandro will soon post it. In the meantime, I'm adding new people to the room. And in a few minutes, we will hear from Jonut and Alex for the first presentation. Jonut and Alex are both working for the Institute of Research in Permaculture in Romania. And they will give a presentation of the practical methods they apply in their farms. Afterwards, we will have a break at 1:30. Reminder for everybody, a break for 15 minutes, and we will resume with a session with Paolo Rosazza from the Italian Academy of Permaculture at 1:45. Sorry. And at the very end, we will hear from Laura Dawn from the Regenerative Agriculture for Europe project at the very end of the session. Alejandro, could you give me a sign when it is posted? I will start giving the floor to Jonut. Thanks, Jonut.
Hello, thank you. So I can take the share screen, yeah, now, or?
Yes.
Just a second, and we're on. So are you guys seeing my screen now? Just to check in.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And welcome to our presentation. My name is Ionuț Codică, and with Alex Tudose there. We are representing the Permaculture Research Institute of Romania. We are an NGO and doing research and doing projects and doing supporting entrepreneurs and young farmers in the field of permaculture, ethical business, and regenerative agriculture. Today we mostly will speak about regenerative agriculture. This is a important buzzword, and from our practice in our farm, we have a farm which is also an research center and education and production center, really close to Bucharest, 1 hour, almost 1 hour from Bucharest. It's called Social Suflet project. We'll speak from our experience there at the farm, and of course from our previous documentation and research implemented there in the farm. Mostly we'll target the vegetable production from a regenerative organic perspective, small part of the whole agriculture, with a little bit of information from orchard and animal husbandry. So starting with some definition, the intention of the presentation is to go through some information about regenerative agriculture and practices, good practices, with the purpose to make a business, to make a living from being a farmer and regenerative organic farmer, and what are those important information and strategies that make a farm successful or not. This is our advocacy is to have as many regenerative young farmers, or not only young, but we want to see as many farmers. So what is regenerative agriculture? there are many definitions, yet there is not a single one. One will be like you see is describes farming practice that, among other benefits, reverse climate change by rebuilding soil organic matter and restoring degraded soil biodiversity. Is what we I would like to take from here is about regenerating soil, but doesn't touch only this, only the soil part. It has other aspects, and those aspects I will see that this is our own definition of regenerative organic agriculture is that it fulfills several functions. One function that we said is soil regeneration and environmental protection. It has to be on regenerative organic agriculture. It has to be productive and has to be bring profit for the farmers. It has to be touch the human well-being and positive. Has to be positive social impact. The farmers should earn enough money, of course, and other things that has to do with regenerative agriculture is also farm investments and acquisitions, the source of money, ethical investments. Also, how we produce and distribute our vegetables, local farmers from we have from farm to table way of selling our products. And animal rights and welfare and farmers' quality of life. So if we sum it, regenerative organic is bio certified, carbon credits certified, global animal certified, and fair share certified. It's a lot of labels in the definition. So now, what our goals, our farm goals, and how to thrive being a farmer. One thing to thrive being a farmer is we have 4 goals, main goals, and one and bottom line at the end of the season we have to check every one of them if you want to be successful. Is maximization of, and I'm starting with this one because it's important, is maximization of production per cultivated unit. Our farm has 4 hectares now, but we don't cultivate all the land. We are cultivating in 2,000 square meter greenhouse and around 2,000 square meter in land outside, outdoor. And we want to have as much production and as much care on that specific piece of land. From our numbers, you can make quite a living from this surface. The second one to be regeneration of soil natural fertility, and we'll go through that. What are our techniques? The third one will be the quality of life, and at least in Romania, I think farmers are one of the most not protected. So they are not protected socially. They don't have insurance or medical insurance and life insurance. So I think it's a good topic to speak about agriculture and the quality of life. And another objective of us is increasing work efficiency and soil regeneration. These two are super important. So at the end of the year, to manage to see that we have an yield and we were successful. I will let it to Alex if you want to bring something more about what you said, and then we're gonna go to some of the main strategies, but they're not. They are not the only one. We are some strategies. Alex, if you want to,
I'm coming.
uh,
So our 4 main goals tie into one another. By regenerating the soil, you maximize the production of the cultivated unit and you increase work efficiency because soil with compost added in it, rich soil is easier to work, and therefore there's a better quality of life. Unfortunately, we left the quality of life last because that's the one that is the most difficult one to increase, actually, when there's a lot of work going on in the beginning of the farm. But like in permaculture, we like to have multifunctionality. Every action has has 2 or 3 more different purposes. And let's go to the strategies and techniques. So regenerative agriculture builds upon, can you change the slide, Ionuț? Yeah. Regenerative agriculture builds upon the ecological standard. It builds upon permaculture. And apart from strategies and techniques, yes, we have the ethical and design aspects of permaculture. However, regenerative agriculture adds a bit more to the table. It increases the scale, definitely, from a small farm to perhaps 10,000 hectares. Why not? It's one of my favorite questions to ask. If you had 10,000 hectares under your responsibility and stewardship, what would you do with them? And these couple of points are some of the main things we look at. We look at management, which includes people management, business management, just daily workflow management. And this can be quite a difficult thing to achieve, which is why we do it during the winter, or this is how we hope. We're going to talk a bit later about it. Soil preparation and soil regeneration. When you dig soil to do something, you take something, you create debt, and you have to give back to the soil and to yourself in the future by also regenerating soil through techniques, and we're gonna go through that as well. Is there a farm without weeds? No, there is not a farm without weeds, and that is a brutal reality that we have to take into account. So we don't actually do weed management, we do weed prevention, because when the weeds are there, the life is over. It's considered a bit of a failure. Of course, in some cases, weeds are desirable, but we would like to have that also under control. We would like to manage for weeds when we want them, where we want them, to fulfill the function that we want. Insects, pest, and disease management. We look at those very closely. They are very related to other things we do on the farm. In the future, for now, we use an integrated pest management strategy, which involves more active measures from us and less passive measures from us, because those passive measures come from an ecosystem, a perennial ecosystem that is created through hard labor and long years, which we have just begun to create. Irrigation. That is one of the most important things to take into consideration and we're going to talk a bit about that, because water is essential to life. You don't have it, nothing grows. Harvest and conditioning. That's another, especially if you want to be efficient, and especially if you want to be influential by bringing healthy food in the houses of many people around our area. You really have to be good at that, because from our calculation, harvest and conditioning is an estimated 25 to 30% of all the working hours in the farm. So if you want to increase the efficiency of the farm, that's the first place where to look. And it's like a recipe book. Every crop has its little secrets. Every crop needs to be stored differently, picked differently. There's secrets in picking it and storing it and carrying it and putting on the shelf. Shall we go to the next slide, Ionuț? Management. Yes, more about management. What do we manage? Let's start with the spreadsheets. We like to have a steady amount of product throughout the year to avoid waste, overproduction, spoilage in the field, losses due to lack of sales. We like to have as much production and as there is demand. Otherwise, there is waste, or there are urgent decisions to make how to put the product into value and to not do spoilage. So can you do the next slide a bit so I can show the crop planning spreadsheet? This is a morsel, a little piece of our crop planning spreadsheet. Eventually, all the data we put in and all the cropping cycles get turned into one massive Gantt calendar. And that makes it easy because I don't have to think in the heat of the summer. When I have a list of everything I want to grow, complete with all the dates between, complete with knowing all the harvest windows, dates to maturity, sowing dates, how long it takes in the tray, and many other parameters, I can just follow a calendar and just adjust a few days later or a few days earlier, or I can adjust quantity. But like this, by writing things down in spreadsheets, this is a large part of our management, which is, I think, is lacking in the training of a farmer, business management and general management. And I would like to bring forth in the training and education of people who pass through this farm, is making spreadsheets. So right now, we know everything we have to do. We look at this column, I don't know, the second week of February, and I know how many trays of lettuce I need to plant, how many beds I need to prepare, and I have a general overview. So yeah, it's about power, it's about safety. Management is also about safety, efficiency, and adjustability. You can adjust, you can dance with the pressure. Can you go back to check the next point? Land use and farm layout. Well, that's all about design. Would you like to jump in on that, Ionuț? Design? I guess I'm gonna do it.
I was on mute.
Oh.
Saying a little bit more about the crop planning and making a bridge with sales forecast and annual budget. And Alex, you'll say more afterwards if you want. So everything starts with desire expectation of the farm, based on the capacity of the farm. So basically, you as a farmer, you need to know your capacity of production, how a person can produce per month, per year, and how many employees you need, and what profit do you want. If you want to go to Greece in the holiday, you have to put everything on an Excel, or just put it on the paper for you to know how much money you want to earn at the end of the season. And this is something that most of the farmers, at least small farmers, they are not doing it. They are going in a vicious circle of just cultivating, growing vegetables, for example, and not making a budget. Okay, how much do I need to build another greenhouse? Okay, 10,000 euros. So this means that I will grow 10,000 euros, or I'll make a bank loan for part of the sum. And we're starting with that. It was a big aha for us that in the first year we had a higher target, and because of that we lose some crops because we didn't align the capacity, our work capacity, with all the labors that was needed. So yeah, annual budget and self forecast is something that really important. And your mission, your farm mission, what do you want to gain at the end of the season? How your life should look like at the end of the season, or at the end when you after 10 years of farming. That's super important, because it will touch the other, the efficiency part. We'll touch the life quality part. So, one of we aspire from holistic management. If you don't know what's that, check holistic management from Alan Savory. He defines very good the holistic context of each farmer, and also inspired by Jean-Martin Fortier. He also has this strategy of writing the mission for each year, or Richard Perkins also has this strategy of making a holistic management. If you guys want to be a farmer, start with the mission. So a little bit of land use and farm layout. During this presentation, we will, I don't know if my pointer is, it's there. So we'll touch only this part of the presentation, we will not speak about the whole farm. So we'll speak a plot. A plot in our farm is consisted of 12 beds, 25 meters long, 75 centimeters width, and this is our unity of cultivation. We have everything measured on this unity of cultivation. How many seeds we'll need per unity of cultivation, how many seedlings, how many compost. We standardized everything. Standardized everything on this unity of cultivation. We're not thinking in square meters. We are thinking in beds. How many beds? So more about land use. We want to be as much as possible bio-intensive, and in order for us to manage very, very well the land. And we will grow year by year. This year was the first year where we start planting the orchard. In autumn, we'll go bigger and bigger, but start small. This is one of the principles of permaculture. So start small. If you can do that as a farmer, you gotta be successful. Otherwise, it would be very, very, very hard. So, like I said, this is the unity of cultivation of our farm. The plot, this plot.
We like to standardize, and it's easy to standardize and then multiply by a factor of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the calculations get automatically done in Excel, including extra coefficients, safety coefficients. And we can convert in meters, in length of the bed, we can convert everything to everything. So it's easy to think, easy to plan, easy to do quantity lists. And yeah, the farm layout. The farm is a developing creature. We are starting with bio-intensive vegetable production because this is what turns a profit. This is what keeps us floating, keeps us alive and swimming, able to buy, to invest more money, to build permanent infrastructure, irrigation, greenhouses, keeps us able to buy trees, seeds, pay ourselves. In the future, we will diversify from vegetables. We will introduce an agroforestry pattern. We will introduce hedgerows between the beds. So about 25% of the cultivated surface will be just biodiversity. Let's say, okay, it's a functional biodiversity. So it's nitrogen fixing plants. It's pollinator attracting plants. It's timber plantation, black locust, willow, firewood, fruit trees, other types of trees. A zone will go wild. We have trees to protect us from sound, to protect us visually, to create shade. It's all about function and going perennial. As the time progresses and the perennial vegetation will develop, it will start to shade out the annual plots. So we will kind of retreat into a smaller area for annual, but then the raspberry will take over, the cherry will take over, the strawberry will take over, and we will have crop diversification, albeit with an increase in complexity. but that will be an increase in profit to allow us to hire more people or to associate more people somehow in some form of community collaboration. We don't know yet what the future holds. For now, we are in the employing paradigm and the internship paradigm, but in the future, who knows? Let's see what the universe throws at us and how we manage this complexity. Soil preparation. Wow, that's a hard one. How do you prepare soil? We all know the image of the tractor tilling the soil. Well, we would like to move away from that because it's damaging to the soil. However, in the initial stages of field preparation, we also have acquired a plow and a tractor. In the first stages of the soil preparation, pretty much all the soil we have lying around, all the farms and whatever you see from the airplane and in photos is degraded soil. Actual living soil is very hard to come by these days because it's been eroded in thousands of years of tillage practices, cut and slash and burn practices, leaving the soil bare, cultivating the soil so you don't get weeds in the orchards or wherever. And we would like to revert it to its pre-human stage when animals roamed and grass grew and animals came around in huge migrations and ate grass and trampled everything and left their fertilizer there. Practically, we're starting from a till, adding compost and moving to a minimal till to no till to strategy, if you want to hear the buzzwords. At first we plow, we use the harrow, and then we form our beds. We have permanent beds. We'll talk a bit more about the permanent cropping beds on which we never step again. So it's just a place where you cultivate. You don't step, you don't do anything else. We add compost. We do one cycle of growing, and then it's we use a broad fork to loosen up the soil and a tiller that tills only 5 centimeters. So that's our next phase of crop soil preparation. We use compost. We bring in compost. We can't produce as much compost as we want as a small farm. That should be left to municipalities and specialized composting stations. We can produce some, but not enough for the entirety of our cropping beds. We would need hundreds and hundreds of cubic meters of compost every year. And it's very hard to come by. However, this year, thanks to the composting law in Romania, more and more services have begun to appear producing compost. We use vermicompost to activate soil biology. Compost is more there for the texture. As a last resort and to keep the beds protected when there is no crop in them, we like to keep them protected with cover crops. So the aerial part protects from erosion, ultraviolet exposure, and other trauma to the soil, while the roots keep the soil alive, pumping with sugar and feeding the soil microorganisms. And then we cut the cover crop, mixing it with the soil, decomposing, using another strategy we'll talk about, and then we cultivate something. So 100% soil cover, 100% of the time. That should be like the golden rule applicable to all types of agriculture if you want to not waste soil. And then we have some pretty amazing and innovative, yet very simple tools for soil preparation, which we're going to talk about soon.
So
coming soon.
Some information about compost. It's bad, it's good, it's perfect to put it every season. Don't go with I don't have enough money to buy compost or to put compost. The return of the benefit will be for sure, and you'll have benefits for direct seedling. If you have a good soil with good texture, it'll be super easy to have direct seedling with machineries or also by hand. There are lots of benefits, and the texture will change. The nutrients will be there. The live soil food web will be there. Do the compost. So put compost every year. We have we're putting compost mostly for heavy feeders like tomatoes, cucumbers, pumpkins, but we put also for radishes, just a little bit. We'll put 1 to 5 centimeters of compost on each bed. At the start, you can put it more. Sometimes you put it compost just to direct seed if the bed is not well prepared or with some weeds. In the case of carrots, you cannot direct seed carrots if the bed prep is not perfect. So yeah, don't buy compost or make compost and put compost every time. And in the case of vermicompost, we put it mostly for nutrients, and also for microbiology. Some quantity we can, when you plant tomatoes, for example, you just put 30 millimeters of vermicompost on each plant one time. So you do the math for how many liters of vermicompost you will have. We'll go to cover crops and tools prep in the second. In the right, what you see in the right, it's our greenhouse, and we put it 20 centimeters of compost. It was our dream to cultivate it in direct compost. The soil there in the greenhouse wasn't good at all, so we didn't have this also be a strategy, not to wait to build soil. Sometimes you bring soil, and with that soil you produce economy, and then you regenerate the rest of the farm. So this is a good strategy to start successfully. Cover crops and some amazing tools in small scale, human scale, regenerative agriculture, organic. It's the broad fork. The broad fork in the picture from the left. It has the ability to aerate the soil without turning. And so you create the perfect climate to regenerate soil. In order to regenerate soil and grow the natural fertility of the soil, you need air, you need food for the microorganisms, and you need water. And air is super important. It activates the life. We do that with the broad fork. In a larger scale, you can use the keyline plow. We use this one for vegetables production. Can be hard at the start, but it loosens the soil. It's becoming loosen and loosen in the end. I think. Alex, do you want to go to permanent beds and some tools? You're on mute. So I will go to the permanent beds. So we are growing on permanent beds. We said 75 centimeters is the width. Why we are growing on permanent beds? So one thing is that bed is super precious for us. We are not gonna plow it. We're not gonna turn the soil. We're gonna take care of it as a child. We rise it a little bit because it's good for drainage. It's good for warming up in the spring. It creates clear boundaries where to put compost or not, where to walk or not. It's the width of 75 because it's the perfect measure for a person to cross it and to harvest. Just a second. And sorry. And I have a problem with my just share yourself. So we are using this tractors, two-wheel tractor for bed prep and most of our activities that involves soil prep. It's a cheaper one. It's a BCS. It has 12, 13 horsepower, and it's the tools that most of the market garden are using around the world. So yeah, we are aligned with that. Of course, you can use other tools, but this one is what is nice is that it comes with lots of attachments that goes hand in hand with no-till, minimal till soil regeneration and soil prep. And one of these is this guy on the right, which it's a tilter, but it has the knives they are vertical. It doesn't turn the soil like it's in the case of the one from the right top. We are using also the right on the top, but with precaution, because sometimes what can you do is make hard pan because of the like you see in the in these pictures. You go with this rotary and it creates something that we don't want at the surface there at the earth. We taste it and it's happening if you're doing repetitively. So very careful. Regenerative agriculture means to change and to buy some new tools, and is a transition. That's super important. You cannot go to regenerative agriculture like, okay, from tomorrow I'm gonna go regenerative. You have to buy some tools, and they are pretty expensive, some of them. So yeah, take it easy with the this one was here.
Can I go back on that again? Can I come in a bit more on soil prep?
Yes, just go a little bit one.
Yeah, you can't have vegetable production or any type of production without soil preparation. You have to put the tree in, you have to put the plant in, the seedling, the whatever, strawberry, you have to put it in. The alternative, the hippie alternative, let's say, would be to do sheet mulching. But you can't really sheet mulch 10 hectares, or you don't have enough compost to put on 10 hectares to improve your soil texture. So yes, in the beginning, if you want to be efficient and you want to start the processes, you have to till the soil. This damages it a bit in the beginning, but then with all the regular compost addictions, you're going to put some stuff back. One main goal, I think, the context now is all the farming soil, except maybe 1%, which is farmed with brain, is eroded on the top, so no life on top, and it's blocked on the bottom. So our goal should be to put life on top, keep it there, prevent it from flying away, either by tillage or by leaving the soil bare or repeated cultivation, and to liberate, to free up that crust, the hard pan. So that again means less tillage. There are tools for small scale, there are tools for large scale. Like, for example, you're not going to use the broad fork on 10 hectares. You're going to use a scarifier or a keyline plow. That's a buzzword. It's a sort of plow, like some knives that drag through the soil and cut it. So there are tools for every scale. Using soil preparation tools is a very delicate thing, which requires a lot of experience, because you have to factor in a lot of factors like temperature, humidity, depth, what crop you're growing, how you're going to manage that particular place in the future. Are you going to make a sacrifice now to get something now to do something in the future, or are you going to take it easy if you have something do you have compost? Where are you going to put the compost? Are you going to use more, less? It's you require at least 4 seasons of experience to know when to process soil, I think. So yeah, experience. That was it. You're muted, Yunus.
Yeah, back on cover crops and tarps, because and this will be the connection with also weeds, but also with soil prep and soil fertility. We are using tarps, plastic tarps. We are using plastic in regenerative agriculture and in permaculture. Is saying that oil for soil. So these tarps are lasting at least 7 years. In these 7 years, they are making a lot of work. Otherwise, it will be very, very hard to process the weed pressure. How we do it actually? So we're when the land is not used, we cover it all the time. If it's not covered with something to eat, it's covered with the cover crop, or it's covered with this plastic mulch. Why we're doing this? Because otherwise, if you don't protect the soil will lose fertility and will degrade. So this is one of the most important things. How you use it when you have cover crops. After you're planting cover crops and you leave it for the least 8 to 10 weeks, and you you go with the mower, you cut it very, very thin, and then you go with the rotary plow, which is this one here, and you take the soil from the alley to the bed, to cover a little bit with soil the cuttings of the cover crops, and then you put the plastic mulch. In 2-3 weeks, everything disappear because of the earthworms. So you are introducing fertilities, and you also you are fasten the process of decomposition of organic matter. Other thing is you can heat the soil a bit more in the spring, and you cultivate it faster. And one thing, if you're farming all the time, you have pressure because of the climate. It rains, the soil becomes wet, and you cannot direct seed, for example. So you have to do something with that. You need control, and that tarps gives you some control. You can have it protected, and then you intervene whenever you want. Because in the spring is becoming super hardcore on managing and navigating through weather, and the tarps is super important. They are super important. I think, yeah, we should go faster, or yeah, go to them as a bit more about weed management. Let me introduce another one. So how we navigate this part. So first of all, there is no farm without weeds. There are some people that are saying that my farm is 100% weeds. They are possible they are doing it, but they are doing with management and a lot of strategies. Some of the strategies is cultivating using seedlings. Why we're doing that? We're doing seedlings not only because of that, but when you're cultivating, you put a seedling into the soil, you already have the capacity to cultivate the soil near the seedling, and you can put you have maybe 60 days in case of the tomato. The seedling is 60 days old, You have a big plant, and the weeds are they are zero at the day zero. So seedling is one important thing. Another thing is short DTM, day to maturity. What does it mean? So, for example, using baby bee. If you're using a cultivar that is 60 days or 80 days, it will make a difference to use a shorter DTM, day to maturity cultivar, because you don't need to make another cultivation of the soil for the last 20 days. So it's a little bit of timing, and we are looking for, in some crops, we're looking for cultivars that have shorter DTM. And another thing is plant density. As we said, we are having this technology of bio-intensive. We try to have as many plants per square meter or per square linear for them to cover the soil. And when the soil is covered, the seeds won't have enough sun to pop up. Another thing, Alex, do you want to contribute to the
weed management? Well, for me, it's all about weed prevention. Another important thing to say that compacted soils have really nasty weeds. Like if you have a compacted soil, you usually have like the spiky weeds that want to bite you and grab onto you and keep you there and eat you. Like the spiky ones, the big ones, the ones that grow really fast, the ones that when you uproot, there's a little piece of root in there and it regrows. And in softer soils, you have the less dangerous, the less hardy weeds. So increasing the soil structure, permeability, aeration, and texture by loosening it deep and adding different organic matter on top. It also makes for more vulnerable weeds that are cultivated even less. For example, we have a strategy at about 10 days, we do a mass cultivation. A mass cultivation is just a pass with the tine harrow tool we'll show you later. And that gets rid of like 90% of the weeds or something like that. So if you can get away with mass cultivating fast on good, great, excellent soil, you've already saved, I don't know, 15 to 20% of the cost of the labor cost of a crop. So it's also a benefit for the soil. It's also a benefit because you don't need to work as much, so you can spend more time on research, development, leisure, why not, recreation. And also with another great tool is the tarps. Janusz was talking about earlier. It's like a cheat. It's like we cheat nature a little bit. It's helping us immensely because right now in the greenhouse, we have all the beds prepared. We have 9 beds prepared. On 3, we have planted, we have direct sown and we have uncovered. We have a tarp on all the greenhouse space. We have uncovered 3 beds. We have them planted. In 2-3 weeks, I will have to plant the next cycle. So I plant these carrots in today. In 3 weeks, I plant a different bed of carrots to have ready for when the first bed of carrots is finished. And I will just uncover the bed, rake it a little bit and direct sow, and then it will receive water. So, and it will not have weeds on it when I come. And even better, for the last beds, the weeds will have already germinated and died and been eaten by the worms and digested and pooped out. So the soil will be slightly better. So yeah, this is what and it becomes a strategy. Okay, move this one here, move this one there. How long has it been on? What needs to go on? Where can we put it? You can use it in so many different ways, actually, and you can use all of the tools. We call it the matrix. When you know many things about timings, when you know everything's life cycle, and when something starts and when something begins, you start to crisscross stuff, and you start to add up stuff, and you get like you get the perfect timing for everything. It's like a piano melody. You press the exact key at the right time and you get this wonderful melody instead of a garbled up noise. So yeah, prevention is the mother of all. We don't call it weeding, we call it cultivating the soil, actually, because when you're weeding, you're down on your knees in the mud, and it's fun only with a crew of 5 people. Because when you're alone, no, it's not working. So you really have to have efficient weeding strategies for everything, for the trees, for the annuals, for direct seeding, for seedlings. Everything has a strategy. And these are the tools for it. We're starting with the tools. And these are tools, they are innovative, they are simple, they are light, they are human scale, they are adaptable to whatever implement. So you can drag them behind a digger or small digger, you can drag them behind a tractor, they are scalable. So you can use these for a bigger scale even. But let's start with like the basic idea, and then we see about the size of it. We have these wire hose. You see, we plant our plants very close together. Usually there's drip lines in the way, and they have no sharp corners. They are just wire hose, just wires. Of course, they're not going to get rid of the big old spiky looking weed. They are going to get rid of the cotyledon stage weeds. That's weeding. This is weeding, getting rid of the small 2 centimeter high weed, and that's too high. There's a question about timings and direct seeding. You have to know your timings to know when it's the time to go and cultivate. And usually weeding ends when these salads over here have grown, let's say 2-3 weeks, enough to touch each other, because then they create a canopy and they shade the bottom weeds. But you have to be absolutely certain that there are no bottom weeds by the time these lettuces reach their final canopy closing height, width. So there's bigger wire hose, smaller wire hose, ones that go on the row, ones that go on in the middle of the row. They're for the initial stages, the very fine accuracy stage of weed management. You can be as meticulous as you want, or you can just walk with it on the row. Weeding has to be fast because it's like 10% of all the work we do here on the farm. Stirrup hose, even better. We call them razeta in Romanian or razet in French. To stir up. They usually cut the root of the weed under the soil level while not disturbing the soil. So A, they're not disturbing the soil. B, they're cutting the root, so root decomposes and plant is on the plant stays on the field. You can go wide, you can go thin. Can you go back to the stirrup hose? Yeah, and they're really robust tools. And when you add a wheel to them, they can cultivate paths and edges of beds. And think about especially in Romania, you know the image of the peasants, the old man and the old lady on the edge of in the cornfield cultivating 105 200-meter rows with the sapa, with the hoe. Well, if you give them one of these, they'll be back in time for supper. They'll be able to take a lunch break, focus on the animals or whatever else they have in their household. So one of our main things we think about is technology, and how appropriate small scale simple technology can be the jump start for subsistence farming to become profitable small scale farming. So by empowering people with the proper tools for any job, you can improve quality of life immensely for many people who, if you look at the statistics, subsistence agriculture is very high. And we all know the conditions of life in subsistence agriculture, which is what we're trying to change through popularizing these tools. So let's look at more tools. We love tools. Collinear hose. This is for weeding under canopies. When the salads are big, but there's still weeds on the bottom, you can cultivate under without cutting the leaves and depreciating the product for market. So you get still a perfect salad, and you don't get to ruin the irrigation hose or the bottom leaves, and the salad looks beautiful. It's like a razor blade. This is the famous tine harrow. It has all these springs which can be adjusted for different types of soil. This is strong enough to uproot cotyledon style size stage weeds, plantlets, little plants, but not strong enough to uproot a seedling that's been in there for 10 days. So you can pass and it will not damage the plant, but it will do chaos in the little weeds. So basically at 10 days, you will have a seedling that's been in the greenhouse for 28, 30 days, plus another 10 days. You'll have a 40-day plant in a 0-day field with 0-day weeds, because they all reset then. You do a pass and they reset. This also breaks the crust from sprinklers. So you get more water penetration in the soil. Easier for them to develop their side roots, their adventive roots, adventive for Romanians. And it can be scaled to a huge scale, actually. You don't really need a tractor, you just need something on big wheels that's able to pull it. It can be also like hand pushed. You can go like an immense width of bed for this. So it's probably one of those things that can be scaled up to broad scale agriculture. Those 10 hectares, tens of hundreds of thousands of hectares, we have to do something about in this world.
It came from big scale.
It comes from big scale.
Came from big scale to small scale. This ones.
They did a good job with this one. Shall we go further? Spring hoe. Well, this one basically just has a spring and it opens and closes when you pass on the row, because there's two weedings, like it's between the rows, which is easier, and on the row, which is kind of hard, and you sometimes do it by hand, especially with the carrots or other crops that grow on the row really closely spaced. It's just another variant, and it has these little two ears. You see the little ears? It has the main one and the little ones. Those are called lièvre blades, the rabbit blades, because they look like little bunny ears. Those cultivate between the rows. They go cut under the soil level for roots. So you get two weedings done with one pass, which is what we want to do. We want to do multiple things with one thing, because we have many tasks and little time. So whenever we can multi-stack functions and multitask, we feel happy. And then putting them on wheels, 1-wheel hoe and 2-wheel hoes. A little manual mechanization. They have handles, they're pretty red colors, and you can add many tools on them. And they even have an addition for 2 tools. And there's a little wheel that lifts your irrigation line and then sets its back. They have like an arsenal of 20-something tools, biodiscs for hilling, yeah, all sorts of discs. So the disc technology that also comes from large-scale agriculture is adapted and scaled down to our row cropping system. Let's go further a bit. Yes, this is the minimal tillage system. So instead of tilling, you just arrange compost. This is instead of raking. When you have compost to put on top of your bed, usually we fertilize. Well, we don't fertilize. We also fertilize, but we prefer to add compost. That is the king of fertilization, which also improves many other qualities of the soil. This is just to prepare a fine seed bed. After every crop has been pulled out, every crop cycle has been pulled out, you add some compost. And we have the numbers. How much compost should you add? How much type of what compost should you add? Usually you add this one for texture, for something to sow to direct small seed in. So for example, carrot is a very small seed. A few millimeters, let's say 2 millimeters, less than 2 millimeters. Mustard, arugula seed, baby kale seed, even flower seeds. You want to sow them if you want to have a good stand of crop, one that is uniform, all are at the same level, so you minimize waste at harvest. You need an even ground to direct seed in, with your, preferably with your automated seeder that's able to singulate seed. So you need to use this. It's a simple cordless drill powered little harrow that just firms up your bed. you do 2 passes on a 75 centimeter bed and you're finished. So instead of 1 hour of raking, it costs 1 minute. So 60 times faster. I like the idea of being 60 times faster and 3 times more better result with this. Another one of those simple things that makes life easier. The flame weeder, don't be scared of this one. It looks like it's something bad, but and especially with gas prices going up now, but we only use this before germination. It's another strategy to add more days. Oh, wait, I dropped some important part of my cyborg equipment here. Okay, this is something to add more days to the weeding cycle, something to prevent weeds from growing up more. This we use before germination, because when the crop germinates, it's on equal footing with the weeds, basically. If we sow today the carrots and in 9 days they germinate, the weeds start to germinate in 3 days and the carrots in 9 days. So the weeds are at 6th day and the carrots are at 0 days. And by flame weeding before the carrots emerge, they're both on equal footing. They are equally strong. So the carrot can stand a chance before all those nasty weeds that want to eat it before we do. The session is ending in 15 minutes, so we'll pass through the tools and maybe make room for questions. How do you feel, Ionuț? Shall we show them at least some of the tools and the charts? I would like to, you're muted, Ionuț. I would like to show them the charts now.
Okay, 1 minute with insects, maybe, and 1 minute with harvesting, and then we show you the charts. Because I mean, no, let's go to the charts.
Yeah.
So let's go to the charts, and then
if you want to know more about tools and other strategies we use, you know where to find us, and we're eager to show you everything. Let's show you some charts. Ionuț, you want to walk them through the charts?
Let's go to the charts. So this is the big pie of our farm. We create technical sheets for every vegetable that we grow in the farm. We have 38 varieties. And also we have tasks like selling, general weeding, general maintenance into this pie. And in total for this season, we have to work around 8,000, around 9,000 hours, working hours, for us to do to have a successful farm. And if we're looking at these numbers, we like numbers. When we see that the biggest pie, pizza pie, is harvesting, and the next pie, the next winner, is conditioning. And we have sales, and you can look at that. But if you want to improve, if you want to go to be earlier home, I think we should look on everyone and see how we can improve it. Our proposal is to start improving on harvesting and conditioning, because it's around 30% of the workload of a farm, vegetable farm, is going into that direction. It was a big aha for us seeing the pie. Most of the experienced farmer, they are saying that half of the farming operation is harvesting. And until we didn't see him in number, it was not that I didn't believe them, but we didn't feel that. We didn't feel enough, even if we had experience. So take a look on this. There are other stuff that bad cleaning after you harvest. That's a lot of the time. 5.2 hours. That means
5.2%.
2%. Yes.
That means 450 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours, working hour to clean. It's a lot of work on trellis, cucumbers, trellis, tomatoes, and everything. So, and that's intensive. 400 hours on planting, 385 hours for broad forking, and a lot of this year. So it's important to know the number, because some of the action, they are easy. I mean, might be easy to do the right seedling. You just know how to operate the seeder. But sometimes the broad fork is intensive, or the weeding sometimes may be intensive. And that brings us to another graphic. This is the workload per week, 52 weeks in a year, and we looked at this graphic. We create a graphic for, first of all, from our technical sheets for our 38 vegetables, and we see that we have some peaks, and we have some air to breathe in the start of the season and the last of the season. And if you want to go to the holiday, please go on the holiday in the week 36, Alex. Don't go in the week 37. That's something how to manage. Of course, there can be intuitive, but it's better to know. It's important. It's important to know. Another thing that it's important to know is how much money you earn for example, for each of the vegetables. So there are some that are profitable, and some that are not. And at least for people that are starting a farm, it's good. It's good to start with the ones that are more profitable and that are easy. Sometimes the easy ones are also brings more profit. And also the risk. There is a risk management, but for example, tomato can be in regenerative organic. We can have a big risk in tomato if you have some big disease and you cannot manage. But for lettuce, for example, is iceberg lettuce is something that you can grow if you are a starter, young farmer without experience, and you can earn some money, and then you go into complexity next years. So a bit of going fast on type of waste. What are the main source of waste of the farm? So think about money, think about work. You work, and we work without be efficient. Think about waste of losing soil quality and sorry, and burnout and life quality. That's a big waste. Most of the farmers are wasting there into the life quality. And what are the most important type of waste? So we took our feedback from the past, and you lose money and energy and quality of the soil and burn and life quality to sales. I think that's one of the most important door to waste, because you don't sell it. And another thing is soil preparation. If you're not preparing at the right moment the soil, you won't be past. It will break all the graphics or the GAN. That's why we're using, one of the reasons why we're using tarps. Irrigation, if you don't have water, don't start it. You won't be able to grow it. Even if you're mulching and everything, you need water. And then it's with pressure. But if you're doing cultivation when the leaves with the dicotyledonate stage won't be a problem. Pest and disease pressure, that one can be manageable. Sometimes the BCS tractor break and you have to repair it. Sometimes you don't have infrastructure, like you don't have the capacity to harvest, or you don't have the capacity to conditioning, you don't have cold rooms to store, and you just lose yields because of that. We have more graphics, more Excel sheets on that. We would like to speak more about it. I think this is part of our research to collect numbers and data and to show to the farmers where they can improve
and to tweak them every year after seeing what happened, what took less time, what took more time. So yeah, this has been our presentation. We are Sorsi Suflet, the Permaculture Research Institute of Romania. Feel free to reach out to us. We are everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, the internet, Facebook. And we wanna develop this farming model. So be sure to give us a hand. Yeah, and come close to us. We want to share our vision, and yeah, come to our events. Give us a hand, guys. With your help, it's gonna be much easier to achieve all this vision.
We have 7 minutes for questions. If you have questions, Antoine, if you can help me with that, if there are questions.
Of course. I'm looking at the chat and I see a very a lovely conversation. Lots of people wanting to see your farm and visit you in Romania. Viorica is recalling that all participants enrolled in the permaculture course in Bucharest will visit you at some point. So great to see such engagement. People, feel free to continue writing in the chat if you feel more comfortable. Since we have a few minutes, you can also ask your question by, activating your mic. I think it's nicer to hear your voices. We'll wait a few minutes for questions to arrive. And anyway, we will close the session in 5 minutes for a break.
So I'm looking for a question there into the chat. I think someone asked us what kind of biopesticides are we using. Alex, do you want to answer to that?
Yes. So for now, because of efficiency and being super busy with setting up multiple greenhouses and doing a lot of work on the farm, we just buy ecologically certified substances. Yes, we do plan to produce our own substances in the future, but that means having a processing and production site for that. So to produce your own biopesticides at a scale relevant to the amount of stuff that we are going to grow, you need a processing station. So first you need the material, you need the nettle, you need comfrey, you need the valeriana, you need all sorts, like you need like 10 varieties of plants, which don't all grow at the same time in the same place. So that means extra labor to pick them. So I would like this year to start our first preparations plots. So we will have plots dedicated to growing the crops that are used to prepare the product, the biopesticides. But then you also need the processing station, you need a maceration tank, you need somebody to keep an eye on it. So yes, it demands time. We're going to start small with just a few beds, but it's not, if we were to go all in, we're going to make our own products from the very first year, that would be a losing attitude, because it would just add to the immense volume of labor that is just setting up the infrastructure of the farm. So building stuff here takes a lot of time. So it's in permaculture, you have this saying, from patterns to details. First you make the roads and the houses and the boring stuff, and then you can play alchemist and scientist with the dandelion and comfrey and transplant plants. And so you have to, first the big important urgent stuff, and then comes the fun. Of course, if we had more people, we could be able to direct a research experiment. So if there's anybody interested in conducting experiments, let us know. We need assistant researchers. Somebody said something.
Apologies, Alex. My mic was on.
It was a question.
It's actually to ask the next question from Radunika, asking you, what is the fastest growing crop that fits the most with permaculture in your experience?
Ooh, that fits with the permaculture. Fastest growing crop. Let's say strawberry. I'm obsessed with strawberries recently. I've been looking for a easily plantable, fast growing, fast fruiting that also spreads. So with strawberry, which we're planting this year, by the way, you plant all year-round fruiting strawberries. They spread. Well, actually, they're cleaning regimen is taking out the side shoots, and then you can root the side shoots into little pots, sell them if you want to sell them, or replant them in a bigger bed, in another bed, to expand your strawberry operation. And as for fast growing crops, arugula, salad mix, mustard, mizuna. I love a good salad mix. They grow thick, they cover the soil. They're also, like the mustards, are also nematode repellent. So yeah, long answer to the question. I would say strawberries as the permaculture one.
Thanks. There is still a question from Pascal.
The design process.
Yeah, please tell us more.
Okay, so the design process was just in the beginning following the scale of permanence. We looked at the scale of permanence. We looked at the form of the landscape. We looked at dangers. Yes, floods are a danger with us. We looked at zone 1 a lot. We looked at the scalability of our farming blocks. We actually looked at the size of the land to determine how many blocks fit in here. This design has been now changed due to legal constraints, due to people owning strips of land. We own 2 strips, they own 1 strip, and then we own 2 more strips. So we couldn't put the greenhouses down because there was a slope. So mostly design is done, it's not, you don't do the design from the beginning, because then the universe comes and tells you something and you have to change it. Basically, do you want to add something more to that?
I think the design, it's a process. It's a process, and you need time to answer all the design questions. You need to stay there at least 1 year. It's true. You need 1 year to sit on the land. 365 days to sit there and to observe it. Another thing, we have some patterns. We have the crop plots, the field plots, that we know that this is our main production unity, and you have to put it somewhere. And then using relative location principles from permaculture, that's the most important. Then, like common sense efficiency and flow of energy, and it's something that me and Alex, we have a lot of experience in making design, so it was something easy for us to do, and also we acknowledge that it's a process.
And yeah, it's a process, and there are elements. So first, you just list all your elements. What do we have? We have the seedling greenhouse, we have the camping area, we have the pond, we have a pond, we have greenhouses, we have hedgerows, and you start to place them. It's like a child's game, but with a real side to it. So you're gonna suffer it. At some point, you're going to suffer the consequences of your own design, and then you can either tweak it or not. So we like to stay safe in our design. We like to stay pliable, and we like to think in more long term. Okay, this year this is this, but then in 2-3 years I might want to do this, or this will change because we're not at this stage anymore. So then it should be easy to move this, or we shouldn't do a permanent thing here just for now. Yeah, it's a tough one, this one with the design.
It's a perfect transition, Alex. Perfect transition, because we're going to address the design question and issues with Paolo right after the break. So there are maybe unanswered questions in the chat. Alex, Ionut, feel free to answer in writing. Now we're going to close the session for 15 minutes. We're back at 1:45 Brussels time. So if you are in a different country, you know that there is time difference. So in 15 minutes, we're resuming with a session about design with Paolo Rosazza. Thank you for all engagements. I would kindly ask Ionut to grant the host rights to me again. And we're seeing each other very soon. Stay tuned. We will resume in a few seconds.
Okay.
Just going to share my screen. Apologies. To show to everybody the results of our Menti poll from today. There we go. So that, Paolo, you can start by having a bright idea about what people are expecting from the presentations of today. We see that lots of people want to know more about permaculture, design, that's for you, Paolo, how to respect soil, how can permaculture be profitable? That's something that was actually already talked about by Alex and Ionut earlier today. Permaculture insights, power of persuasion. How do you persuade people to go into permaculture? What are the basics of permaculture? And then we have more targeted questions like, can I use it in my orchard? I see other words like terroir, food and forest. So all of this can serve as inspiration for your questions and also you, Paolo, for your presentation. I'm going to grant you the host rights now, so you can share your screen. There you go, Paolo. Over to you.
Thanks, Antoine. So just a second. I try to scan.
No worries. We still have, I think people will continue joining. People left probably to grab a bite to eat, but we still have 68 people with us. Please be on the watch, because people will join the waiting room and you can add them to the conversation.
Antoine, it's my responsibility to add the people. Is actually that's what? No,
it's ours. It's a shared responsibility.
Okay. This is
there you go.
Way to share responsibility. Yeah, like in a community. So thanks to the ICPR for the presentation before, and thanks to SAFE actually to coordinate this I think effective project. I spent just a few words to say that we are at the end of this project, and actually I really glad to be involved in this project, because it was a really challenging things, and the aim of this project is actually something that for me is really useful. It was really something that was missing, because this project creates a link between permaculture and the university, and try to cover a bit of a gap between the scientific methods and the more empirical or practical methods that is typical from the permaculture movement. So yeah, I try to present this presentation that is focused on as you read on the SDG, and I will speak about this, and design. You know, permaculture is a design methodology, so it's actually is impossible to describe and recover all the tools, practice, and good things that comes from permaculture. But I will try to do give an overview on the SDG and how these have a link with the permaculture, and how the permaculture can provide some useful tool and way to get the results that are expected by the SDG. Just a few presentation, like why I'm talking about design. So, and people will ask, why are you entitled to speak about design? From my point of view, actually, everyone is entitled to speak about design if a practice design with a common sense. So nothing impossible, but actually I would suggest to study and to pick some information from permaculture, but I will suggest to everyone to put their hands on and to put in practice and to get as much experience as you can. This is the way to learn a permaculture, not on the book, but on the field. So here we go.
Paolo, before you start, just a short word. I see I cannot add people to the room, so some people, including Ezio, are waiting in the waiting list. You can just click on participants and add them.
Yeah, I see some of them are entering the room. So, okay.
Perfect.
I think, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So, what are the SDG? So, I think most of the people here in the conference, in this event, know more or less what they are. SDG, we have you see, they are the Sustainable Development Goal. So they are goal. So there was several decades ago an agreement between the member states that actually they put around the table and decide which path, which step should have been done to I include other people to improve our lifestyle, our possibility to survive on this planet. So here I put a picture. I think actually this it comes from I think the Columbia University. Well, thanks to. So I put the 17 SDG. I put it on a pyramid. So you see there are different levels. We can see different level of SDG. You see there is a basic level that actually are, you see the SDG that for me there is they have a sort of relation and connection with the human rights. So you see no poverty, no hunger, the importance to get the clean water and sanitation, to get gender equality, education. So these are the basic needs that have to be covered and ensure to the community, to the people, to allow them not only to survive, but to thrive. So we have different levels. So more real level SDG they are connected to the needs of the people. And then we see there are SDG related to our planet, our ecosystem, so life on land, life below water, climate action, and so on. At the further stage, we got these the SDG 16 and 17 that actually they are not committed to a real practical outcome, but actually they draw and they specify actually the approach that should be used from the member states to work together to achieve the expected outcome. And this picture actually remember me another schema that I remember I saw a lot of time ago. There is some of you know the Maslow pyramid. That actually there is a way to draw in a pyramid the needs in several layers that a man or a woman have to follow to get the self-actualization. So you see, the SDG and the development of the needs for the people are connected. So there is a link between the SDG for community and needs for the people. So the important things that so this is probably trivial. So it's something that we probably the people in a community, in a small community, knows about it. The problem that comes out, and that this is the difficulties that the member state have to sort it out, is actually the things that in a huge community, as we are in our planet, the people is no more easy to understand the needs of people on the other part of the planet. So as the community grows, it's more difficult to gather this connection, the network between the people, and that force and push the people to understand the value of these needs for all the people of the community. So I try to find out another link between the SDG and permaculture. So I see, SDG, okay, it's they define a specific goal that are really a challenging goal, but how the people got to agree on the definition of the SDG. So actually, there is a basic belief and principle that are shared between the member states. So the member states decide and they recognize that it is useful to work together to improve the circumstances of all the people in the world. So this is there is a connection between even the ethics of the permaculture. As you know, or maybe I can recollect, the ethics of permaculture are actually 3 pillars. We have care of the land, care of people, and the fair share. I mean, everyone in this planet is a people in the community, is a person in the world that require care from other people. So that's why this is important for the development of the SDG. Country cannot think that other country far away or in the developing country are not part or not connected to the economical growth and to their own development. So based on the understanding that everything is connected this support the rationale to improve the development of all the party in this planet. So that's why the approach and the method that have been endorsed for the development of the SDG is described in SDG 17. Promote cooperation and not competition, cooperation and partnership among the states. Create a sustainable development for everyone, not only for the lucky country rich with a high level of economic growth that is affordable only with the natural resources coming from a third party. So principle is commitment to freedom, security, peace, and human rights, because these are the basic needs, as we saw in the previous slide. Poverty and hunger, the most critical world challenges, SDG 0, 1, and 2. Promote a sustainable usage, protection, production, and management of the natural resources. This actually, it was a pretty, I think, a smart phase. I mean, after the 17, where there was the industrial growth and evolution, there was actually performed without any care about the natural resources. After a while, the mankind discovered that the natural resources are not limitless, but they have some limit. There is a certain quantity, and people have to take care to this. So why are so important natural reserves? Because actually we survive, and our community is developed on natural reserves. So waste natural reserves is actually the most stupid things that the mankind has done during the last century. But you know, every mistake actually has the opportunity, provided the opportunity to learn something and to improve. So here we are. After a decade of experience, we know what has been done in the wrong way. And okay, we are a bit in a hurry to stay inside the SDG for the 2050, but actually we know what has been done wrong, and we know more or less what it could be done. The problem is the transition, how smooth the transition and slow will be, and if we achieve to get the green transition before the ending time. There is hope. So other basic principle that are shared between the states is pay special attention to the least developed country, and for sure those facing conflicts and threats. Improve sustainable, inclusive, and economic growth, sustainable development. We will talk about after about this, what is sustainable. Assure the right of self-determination. This is important because every community has the right to define themselves, to specify who they are, which is their culture. And member states shall assure the right of self-determination. And well, the aim is actually that the country doesn't use this concept to cover their action of self-interest. This is something that is happening in those days. And the last point, this is actually important to, it is important even for any design process, is actually data. How we know the SDG progress is in line with the expectation, how we know what the what has been done in the right way and what not, what went in a different way as was expected. Data. This is important for the SDG, but this is the most important things on any design. We collect data, we observe. In any design, there is a sort of evaluation of the context, and then there is the design and implementation. If we don't collect any data and we retrieve data on the result, it would be impossible for any designer and for any member states here for the SDG to understand what has been done and how to increase and optimize or improve the design process in cycle by cycle. You see, we share the principle of the SDG, and actually I see a lot of overlap in interconnection between the SDG specification and principle and permaculture ethics. So probably permaculture could be providing a value, an added value to achieve the SDG. So I said before, data are important for sure, because we know from the data we understand where we are, and from this understanding we know which one could be the next step. So in the 2020-21 there was a report, the SDG report. Is something that is available online. I suggest you to check online, Google, and check it out. There is a report that provides a resume SDG by SDG that allow you to understand where we are, more or less. So one important thing is actually that I don't know if it's good or not, but what have been underlined is actually that we cannot blame COVID-19 pandemic to be so outside of the track for the SDG achievement, because actually we were already off the track before the start of the pandemic. So we cannot blame COVID-19 for all. So for sure some progress have been made. So in poverty reduction, in health, access to electricity, that is so important, such as the access to water and other important reserves, gender equality, and so. So there is some other point that didn't perform any progress. So hunger still there, reducing inequality, carbon emission. Well, this is really one of the most challenging SDG. And well, the bad side is actually that even this is from the COVID-19 impact. Women have faced increased domestic violence. We got, as you know, a problem in schooling. Education was really difficult to maintain with the same quality level. And as you know, this was different from country by country, where in some country there was the possibility to get a digital way to get education. For in other countries this was not. So, you know, about schooling, so these are marked below SDG 4, quality education. This is well, they decrease a lot the result. Greenhouse gases continue to increase, and we know the climate change is something that concerns everyone. But bads and goods. We know the COVID-19 pandemic actually as a problem provide even a solution, and it was even the opportunity push the community and the mankind to react, to adapt itself to a new reality. So thanks to the COVID-19 crisis, there was we understood that actually community has some inner resilience. So even if the SDG, the goal are actually difficult to get, well, some hope is present. So we got the report in the last year. So the next milestone, it will be the 2030, and then the subsequent milestone, it will be on the 2050. So we are off the track, but well, there is some hope, and how to get there to the 2050. The only way to be closer to the goal is actually to design in the proper way. This is the way. We have to design using common sense and using the understanding of a holistic approach for a complex system. And permaculture for this can support the process. So, sustainable development goals and appropriate design. So permaculture actually can support this, because we saw principle and ethics are pretty similar, and permaculture is actually a tool, is a design approach. There are thousands and thousands of definitions of what is a permaculture, and even people that is inside the movement is at the end you have no such a clear idea of well, what is the permaculture for sure, but how to how many cases and system is possible to be applied. So, but the basics definition of permaculture is this: is a holistic and dynamic design approach. I say, oh, yeah, this is something that I need for this, because holistic, it means not a freaky approach, but holistic, it means all in. It means that is a design approach that takes in consideration all the system and take in consideration how they are connected and how action can provoke a reaction in all the other elements. So is the tool that we need to design a complex system. An appropriate design is critical to the conservation of all species and environment. Appropriate design, it means to find out which is the best solution for every specific context. So here below, I didn't list all the 17 SDG, but I try to figure out which are the SDG that could get an effective help from the application of the permaculture approach. So hunger, zero hunger, because actually permaculture, we will see, is provide an approach to grow food and to provide and supply food for the community in the right way. Quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, we will do an exercise on this. Affordable and clean energy, decent work and economical growth, life below water, and we know, well, these are actually the block that could be connected with permaculture are the number 6, number 14, 13, and 15 for sure, because there is a direct connection with the natural resource management. So just a brief justification or still on this on this hypothesis. The hypothesis is permaculture a proper and appropriate tool for the SDG? Maybe. We already found out that it's possible. The answer is yes. But we can go back and to see why we got the permaculture. Actually, if we go back in the 70s when the permaculture had been created by Mollison and other people around the cool guy, actually there was sorry, I have to include another people. The modern industrial agriculture, it was based on industry, you know, mechanization, and there was a technological approach to grow food. And after decades, well, some results, it was not only food, but actually there was a drawback: biodiversity loss, soil degradation, greenhouse gas emission. It's something that is still there, and it's something that we have to face too. That's why in the 70s already it was possible to see the drawback of this approach, and some people tried to find out another approach, and it was permaculture. So a design system with the principle, ethics, and the design approach. It was trying to provide techniques to grow food, but in a sustainable way. So wait a second. Okay. So the permaculture, we see before, start as a reaction to the industrial agriculture, but actually it provides more than this, because permaculture provides a holistic design approach that actually is possible to be used for any system. So permaculture provides there's a methodology, provide tools, approach, languages, schema, and all the tools that are useful to design. Permaculture have been created as a reaction of the industrial agriculture, but actually after that he developed some extension of the methods and approach that allow the permaculture to be used for the design of any system. Permaculture can be used for design houses, design washing machine, design cars, company, enterprise, community. So, you know, the only limit is the imagination. So we can apply permaculture to whatever you want. And I suggest you to try this method, not only in agriculture and in farm management, but even in any other system that you have to think about. So this is, well, this is actually the picture that resume what we were talking about before. So on the left, you get a techno system to produce an egg. On the right, you get the ecological system to get the same products. As you see, the difference is actually that on the left, we need to maintain and sustain the cyclical production of the egg. We need to provide and to supply the cycle with input. So with the input could be natural reserves, but actually there is less efficient in front of the ecological and the ecosystem we have on the right. So why one is more efficient than the other? Because actually we see on the right, the natural system has thousands and thousands of interaction that that they have a fair share of resources between elements. On the left, instead we have we can draw actually the interconnection between the system. So the difference is actually that how is effective and efficient one system in front of the other. And we spend decades, a century to design the system on the left, when actually the system on the right, it was already there. So we say, why we did this? I don't know. But the important thing is that at our stage, we realize that Mother Nature is better than us, and Mother Nature is the best system designer that we have. And the only things that we should have and we could do is actually to copy and to copycat Mother Nature for our needs. So I try to go a little bit faster because I would like to allow you to make some exercise. So we say permaculture as well is a methodology that suggests it's a design approach. It has several things, tools, principles, ethics, and one important thing is the process. To design, in order to get a proper design, is really useful, I would say mandatory, to have a design process and to follow straightly the design process. I say there are thousands and thousands of design process that could be used. Permaculture suggests a lot of impose the ethics and the principle, but allow everyone to choose the best design approach that they want. So you can use any design approach that you want. Here, what I share with you is the Obrediment. This is a pretty long design approach. You see, every Obrediment, every letter of the word stands for the first letter of a step. So you see, the first stage is the observation. So every design process starts with the observation. And then we can follow the arrow, and we say from the observation of the context, observe with all the sense that you have. So observation is the step of the design process where data are possible to be collect, analyzed, and stored. So from the observation, that is actually a neutral observation. It means that without any, you don't have to judge what you notice. So the outcome of the observation will be a huge list of data. So you see, then we have a couple of arrows. So they go from the first step to the second one. We get a definition of boundaries and reserves. So for any system that we have to design, we can observe the context of what is around. The system could be a farm, could be a community or whatever. So you do observation, and then you try to already start to do some to split and to define two categories. One is boundary, and the other is reserves. What is a boundary and what is reserves? Well, actually, they are, if you say, they could be two sides of the same coin. So boundaries could be the neighbor. If you design a farm, then the boundaries could be a neighbor, but actually neighbor could be a reserves too. It depends on which are the functional interconnection with other system. Okay, so reserves could be people, plants, natural reserves like water, energy, or edge, energy flow, or whatever. Boundary, okay, we can, bureaucracy, this could be a boundary. A limit amount of money could be a boundary. A fixed quantity of reserves. For example, the water in this planet is a fixed value. It cannot be higher or lower than this. So there is a boundary. So observation, boundary, and reserves. Then focus on the aim of our design. We can perform some evaluation, and then the designer can start to define some possible action, put in action. So from the idea, it's possible to analyze and to get to the reality of the project in the design, and then when the things are put in action on the implementation. So I would like to focus on only on the first 3-4 steps and do an exercise with you. We are in time. Okay, so here we go. We try this exercise because it normally is better to do in a live session, but okay, we will try even with this in a digital session. So we focus on the SDG, on the Sustainable Development Goals 6. So 6 is clean water and sanitation. Okay, so on the right, you see this is a board that I got from the SDG report from the 2021. So this is that's why the results are traced to the 2020. So you see, this is the situation about the development of the SDG 6. So you know, some problem is still present in this planet for sure. So not all the people have access to safe drinking water, sanitation. Water is useful for people, but useful for plants and animals and whatever. So we cannot stay without clean water. So okay, but you know better than me. So what I want to do with you is this. I try to get a snapshot of the design process that we described before: observation, boundary, evaluation, research, and design. So these are the 4 steps that I would like you to experiment and you to exercise with. So SDG 6, I would like to push you to perform these 3, 4, 5 steps on the SDG 6. So what I would like you to ask is to take a piece of paper, or I don't know, notepad on the laptop if you are more practical with this, and try to get this. Try to write observation, then boundaries, reserves, and action. Action is actually the outcome of the design. As we, on the bottom line of the bottom side of the slide, I did the exercise by myself, try to allow you to understand better what I expect to you. So think about the system that I would like you to design is actually, well, nothing more than planet Earth. So I ask you to list, I say 5, but you can actually list any number that you are confident with. List observation on clean water and sanitation on the planet Earth. And then boundaries. Try to think about which are the boundaries in the design that support the SDG. Reserves, and try to figure out which could be the action that the mankind could put in action, the action that could be performed to achieve the SDG 6. So you can do the exercise, and after the completion of the exercise, I ask you, if possible, to copy, paste on the chat the result. So I expect from every one of you a message in the chat with written observation and some observation that you can you have done, boundaries, some boundaries that you discover, reserves, and one or two, a couple of action. If I will let you like 10 minutes to do the exercise, but if you
actually,
have any question,
Paolo, just be mindful of the time. So there will be another session by Laura afterwards. So
what time she will start?
At 2:40.
2:40. Yeah, but this is we'll complete the presentation. If we achieve the exercise, I will be pretty satisfied.
Perfect.
So okay, so I'm on the chat, and so if everyone has some question about the exercise, please ask me. I will answer on the chat. But it's pretty well on the approach. Well, on the way is actually easy. It's not easy to think about and to sort it out some smart action to allow the mankind to survive on this planet.
I suppose we can also ask people to jump in with their mics and videos if they feel comfortable in doing it.
Yeah.
Please don't be shy. Paolo, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no wrong answer.
Yeah.
In the meantime, for those who joined a little bit later, I'm just reminding everybody that in a few days, this session will be available on YouTube, on Save's channels, and we'll be sharing this on social media as well, so you can rewatch Paolo's presentation and the presentation we had from Jonut and Alex, as well as the upcoming presentation from Laura about the Reg Agri for Europe project, which is, let's say, our sister project in this case, as SAFE is involved in both group projects. Also reminding you that Alex and Jonut are still present with us. So if there were unanswered questions from the first session, you can also send questions.
Thank you, Anton. Yes, we're here.
And we have a first contribution, Paolo, from Alexandra in the chats.
Well done.
So here we have an interesting example of observation, boundaries, resources, and actions from Alexandra. Feel free to share yours. Alexandra tells us that knowledge about clean water is not accessible for everyone, and that the boundaries in that observation are mindsets, resources, and money. And she sees as a way forward offering access and support for knowledge and access to school thanks to those resources, plants, boiling possibility, transmuting water from other elements. This is an interesting contribution. So 5 more minutes before the end of the session. If you're done earlier, of course, feel free to go and get yourself a cup of coffee. A new observation from Larry in the chats. He's talking about rain and the collection of pluvial water. And I hope my interventions do not disturb you in all your thinking process. But I'm taking this opportunity to also remind everybody that tomorrow we will have a conference from 2 to 4:45 Brussels time. This conference will talk about the current project, the PermaModule project, and links with sustainable systems. Thank you, Pascal, for your contribution. You can go ahead, Paolo, I think.
I see several answers actually that let me understand that the exercise have been understood, and this is really something. So yeah. So I don't want to say that this design process is the best that you can use, but actually the important things for me is actually to allow the people to understand that it's mandatory to get a design process. It's not important which one you choose, but actually it's important to get a design process, because in this way you split step by step all the different part of the process, and you focus on piece of the part of the process, and this is actually more effective. And another important thing is that if you use a specific design process, even the customer and the other people that have to understood which is your way to design actually are more easy and they are more friendly to understand you when you explain your design. So I would suggest to practice and to try a different design process, because this is the way. This is the way to be a good designer, to have in your pocket different tool, different design process that you can use time by time in the best way. So yeah, I'm happy with the reply. Maybe Antoine, maybe later we can collect the answer and to don't lose this input. Maybe something that I will do to collect the answer that we get from this exercise, and to
feel free to do it, Paolo. But
yeah.
My colleague Alejandro, reading us and listening to us, is also fetching all these questions in case, so that we don't lose anything from your valuable contributions, everyone.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any closing words, Paolo.
Well, actually, the presentation was trying to do the same exercise. It's something that actually you could perform if you are happy with, to do with the other SDG. So it's interesting to do mainly for the SDG. There are more connection with permaculture, so life below water, climate change, and so on. So it's a pretty interesting game to sort it out some possible action. Yeah, the presentation will be available, so you can well, come back to some slides that I've used, or even to look around at what we missed from the last slides. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the topic. For me, it was interesting to see the interconnection between permaculture and SDG, even by myself. So yeah, thanks for your attention, and I pass the ball to Antoine.
Thank you, Paolo. I would kindly ask you to give me the host rights back, so that I can transfer them to Laura, who is going to be our next speaker for these remaining minutes of the workshop. We're slowly coming to a close, but before we end, we have a short presentation about another project that could be really interesting, and I will include lots of tools that are very complementary to this project. So Laura, as soon as I have the rights, I will share them with you, and you can start your presentation. Yes, in about a second. I have to find you in the participant list, Laura. Okay, there you go.
Awesome.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here. So just in a few words, my name is Dora Dawn. I'm coordinating the project. Sorry, can you already? Oh, my screen is somehow frozen.
That's a common. We're used to having technical issues now.
Okay, so I'm back.
There you go. We can see your screen, Laura.
Awesome. So yeah, as I said, my name is Laura Dawn. I'm coordinating the project Reg Agri for Europe, and I would like to give you a short overview of this project. So this is an Erasmus Plus project called Reg Agri for Europe, and what we would like to do is to upgrade the agricultural sector with skills in regenerative agriculture. So we are a consortium of 7 partner organizations coming from Germany, Belgium, and Greece. We are very diverse, like regarding our backgrounds. So STIF International, which is the organization where I'm employed, is the coordinator. Then we have Safe Foods Advocacy Europe, obviously you know SAFE. Then we have Schloss Tempelhof, which is a German-based organization and building facilitator, and also has agricultural production. So they have a farm focusing on regenerative agriculture. And we have Skybridge, which is an IT firm which helps us to put all the material we are developing on a virtual learning environment. Then we have Agri and the Agriculture University of Patras, so our education providers. And then we have Aquin, which is an accreditation body. So they will accredit, certify our course we are developing. This is a 2 years project. So we have started about a year ago and we will finish end of this year. And we are funded by the European Commission Erasmus Plus program Key Action 2, which is on strategic partnerships for vocational education and training. So the whole project objective, our goal is to design an innovative vocational curriculum on regenerative agriculture, providing farmers and apprentices skills and knowledge to implement sustainable cultivation methods. And then the overarching, very ambitious goal is to transform agricultural practices and landscapes. And for this, we have 4 project results we are doing in those 2 years' time. We started with a status analysis on regenerative agriculture. So we examined what does it mean on the policy level, on educational level, on public awareness, and on the market side. This is what we did as a first step. So we conducted many interviews, did desk research, and what we found basically was that regenerative agriculture is still like a grassroots movement, and there's little, only a few courses done on the educational level, so on university and vet education. There's no policy, like green policy directed only at regenerative agriculture, but there are like slowly movements developing or arising on all these areas. But still, it's a niche market. It's something provided by individual farmers or researchers, and this is what we have found in the status analysis. Then as a second result, or as a second work package, this is all about the training development. So as I said before, we are trying, or we are creating a new course for apprentices and all other interested persons on on regenerative agriculture. And this is what we are currently doing. So we're developing a lot of like presentations, video tutorials, assessments, and assessment questions, exams, all these very interesting things we are right now developing and translating into all partner languages. And then as a third step, and this is what we are doing also currently and simultaneously to the intellectual output number 2, training development, is the creation of a virtual learning environment. So we will put all what we have developed, all the material we will put into or on a virtual learning environment where everyone can access the material and can see all the video material, can chat, can exchange ideas with other learners or with the tutors. So this will be like the learning space. And then as a final step, we will acquire the accreditation. So this is why we have this accreditation body as a partner in the consortium, and they will start checking the course and then hopefully at the end certify our regenerative agriculture course on national but also on European level. So this is the setup of the project. And here, I thought this might be interesting. You can see we have a modular course, and everyone who would like to learn about regenerative agriculture can go and can do obviously the whole course, but you can also just go and do the bits and parts which are most interesting to you. So we start with the background and context and insights into RegAg. So all the motivations and barriers and challenges for the implementation. Then we go in lecture 2, we talk about the reasons and principles. So all the key principles of RegAg, all the methods, also then compared to the key principles of permaculture and so forth. And then we have RegAg in practice 1, 2, and 3. So there we really like explain what and how to do. So there you see all the techniques, all the instruments you can apply, and this is then divided for the 3 different areas: so vegetable production, agricultural production, and then large-scale implementation. And then the course finishes with the benefits and potentials of RegAg for the environment, society, and human health. So there are some more information regarding, for example, planting water, what is the relation between human and soil microbiome, and what are the economic aspects, and what can we do if we would like to start transforming our farms. So this is the structure of the course. And then, as I said, we put it all on the virtual learning environment. We use LMS Open edX for this. And on this platform, then we have all the training material we have developed. So the video tutorials, all the reading material and presentations, forum discussions, quizzes, a final exam, certificate, a virtual library. This is the virtual learning environment, and we have it all in English, German, Greek, and French. So we are translating not only the material but also the learning environment for itself. For the video tutorials, we use subtitles. And the launch, so we will start in May 2022. So if you're interested, you can already register, and then you get a notification once the course will be online. This is just a picture of one of our video tutorials. I just wanted to share this with you. here you see one of our instructors from Schloss Tempelhof, one of our partners, explaining carbon sequestration potential. So this is how the video tutorials look like. I think it's very very attractive and very nicely done. So, and then, yeah, for the top 30 learners of the Reg Agri course, we have a special activity. We offer a 5-day living and working experience on the farm Schloss Tempelhof in Germany. So there, students or learners can go, and it's totally free of charge for them. They stay for 5 days on the farm Schloss Tempelhof. They will get seminars like workshops. They will see everything they have discussed in real life on the farm. And yeah, hopefully with this, they can consolidate their acquired knowledge from the online course. And here are 2 pictures. We had our first meeting from the consortium on Schloss Tempelhof. And here you can see also the instructor showing us on the field regenerative agricultural practices, and on the left side you see the premises, so the building of Schloss Tempelhof, where then the learners will be accommodated. And I think this is already it. I'm not sure how I'm doing on timing. So if you want to have more information, you can obviously always visit our website, regagri4europe.eu, or contact me if you have any question. And if you have any question on that topic or on the project, I'm here now for questions, but also via email or phone.
Thank you, Laura. And you already have a message from Viorica saying that the project looks very interesting, and that she would be very interested in being invited in the sessions you will organize.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, as I said, Antoine, you can share the presentation, so they find the link for the course. But if you would like to, I mean, cooperate in a closer way, I'm always happy to have other interested and enthusiastic people, yeah, supporting us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for... Viorica, you wanted to say a word.
No, thank you, Laura. It's very, very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it's very nice to hear not only my voice in this workshop, to hear you participants and speakers. I hope you liked it. We did not even lose half of the audience throughout these intense 3 hours. So lots of strength to all of you for being there since the beginning. As I said, there will be another round of this project's activities tomorrow at 2 Central European time, Brussels time, till 4:45. We'll have a broader conference on Zoom webinars. You can still register. The link is on SAFE's website. Please ask your friends if you haven't seen it. You can also check SAFE's social media, Safe Food Advocacy Europe on Facebook, Safe Food Europe on Twitter. That's where you will find the registration link. I remind you again that these sessions will be featured on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you like these sessions. Safe will share the presentations from all of our speakers, Laura, Paolo, Yonut, and Alex. Thank you very much to them as well for their time and their energy. And we see everybody tomorrow at the conference, hopefully. Wishing you a great afternoon, and cheers.